Welcome to the Databricks Skill Builder series. We're glad you're here.
Okay, let's go ahead. Let's kick it off. My name is Nitin Kudikala. I'm a solution architect in the manufacturing vertical within Databricks solution architecture team. Chi, do you want to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. My name is Jisoo. I'm also a solution architect and also leading the customer engagements for our SAP SME team.
Awesome. So what we're going to do today, so we'll talk about SAP data today. Really, the goal of the meeting today is to make sure people understand the different ways that you can integrate SAP data with Databricks. And some of the other, we also talk about some of the accelerators, and also we'll spend a little bit of time on the SAP Databricks partnership at the end also. But really, this is a high-level overview on some of the extraction methods from SAP and how you can make, how you can get more value from the Lakehouse, from your Lakehouse implementation. Okay. Let's see. So we've heard about SAP many times, and we know SAP is probably one of the biggest ERP companies out there. They have modules around, as you can see, the financial, like finance and accounting, sales and marketing, planning, every application every critical application that flows through a company's ecosystem, they have a product for that, right? And it's critical for business to actually integrate this data to other types of data that is coming through from other systems, from the external systems, the partner systems, the POS systems, and things like that. They want to be able to integrate this data so that they can create more value of the data that they're storing inside this inside the ERP module. Okay, so really, without the ability to easily and quickly integrate SAP ERP data, it's really hard to optimize your business processes and improve your decision making. This is like the very high-level history of SAP ERP. SAP ERP has evolved quite a bit, but really what happened in the past few years was SAP has standardized onto their S4 system, which is really their SAP ERP and the BW system. They are the more modern. The S4 system is more like a modern architecture on the SAP side, which is really the key point is that it is really a pretty big change. It's almost like they wrote the code page it's not almost actually the code base itself has completely changed from their historical products with the business suite that the legacy that we can call it a legacy ERP. So the S4 system is really very it's a pretty big jump for someone who's using the legacy ERP and also even legacy BW to go to that S4 HANA systems. Okay. SAP is also for the S4 HANA system. The runtime database is only SAP HANA. If you see on the left, the legacy ERP can actually used to be able to run on SAP HANA and also other relational databases, but SAP S4 HANA can only run at this time on SAP HANA. Okay, database, the underlying database. Okay. So that's just want to call out that, it's a pretty big jump between going from legacy ERP to the modern SAP architecture, which is SAP S4 HANA. Okay. It's not an easy upgrade or anything like that. It's probably a full-scale implementation project. It could take years and years of time to get you to go to that S4 HANA modern architecture. Okay. So there are other issues with the enterprise analytics in general. One of the common pain point that we keep hearing is really that SAP, it's difficult to make SAP data available to like broad range of real-time and predictive analytics use cases, right? While you can do some analytics on the SAP stack, the capability set is kind of limited in terms of when it comes to data science, data engineering, also machine learning. And we also kind of and costs are a big thing, particularly in this market. And companies are looking to do more like a balanced TCO model, right? That balances the storage and the compute resources to support your analytics map. Okay, so these are some of the pain points we typically hear from our customers. And yeah, by bringing all this data from the SAP data to the Lakehouse, the Databricks Lakehouse, customers can actually get more value for their SAP data assets. They can gain real-time insight and lower the cost. It's also, there are many other benefits of the Lakehouse. Of the Lakehouse architecture. We embrace open source. It's the architecture itself is pretty straightforward, pretty simple, and you can choose any cloud that you want, right? As you can see, Azure, AWS, or Google Cloud. We can do multi-cloud. The behavior of the Databricks system itself is exactly the same on all these different clouds. So using the native capabilities and also the extensive integrations of the Databricks platform, enterprise can build and deploy robust analytics using industry-leading economics across BI and AI ML workflows. Okay. So this is like the very high-level functional architecture, if you may. From the left, you have your source systems. On the right, you have some of the use cases that you can tackle when you're actually joining. When you're able to integrate all these different data systems coming from not just from SAP, but your from your IoT data, from your images, from the market data, from CRM data. You can actually integrate all that into our Databricks Lakehouse platform. The Databricks Lakehouse platform, we have, as you can see, there are 3 key components over there. We can do data management and engineering using many tools inside Databricks. You can do business intelligence, all the data that you store from these different systems. You can do business intelligence. You can run your reporting. You can do some slicing and dicing and all that, and all those capabilities on the Databricks platform. And also you can, as we spoke before, you can do advanced analytics. Because of these functionalities, you can tackle some key use cases. For example, your production control. You can yield optimization is a pretty big thing. Demand planning, and also finance. Okay. So I'll stop there before I jump into more details. Do you have any questions out there? Okay, I'll move on. So this is our high-level, again, reference architecture. You have your source systems to the left, the third-party applications, your partner feeds and market data to the left, and also your SAP systems, ECC, S/4HANA, your Concur systems, the SuccessFactors systems, all becomes like sources for this particular architecture. We work. We work with a lot of partners in general to get the data out of these different systems. You can primarily have partnerships with Click and Fivetran and Matillion, and there are a bunch of them too. And you can use these integrations to get the data out of the systems into the Databricks Lakehouse paradigm, Lakehouse architecture, kind of what we call the bronze and the silver and the gold layer, right? So you can bring this data using the direct connectivity or using the partners. You can get this data into the bronze layer, do some cleansing and load into a silver layer, and then do some aggregations and more, get ready to the consumption for the BI layer using the gold layer inside Databricks. Okay, that's the high level, what we call as a medallion architecture. And everything is tied. As you can see, using our Unity catalog, and Unity catalog can integrate with other partner systems, also partner governance, data governance products also out there. So it's high-level reference architecture. How we would want to see our customers leverage Databricks to bring more value from their SAP and non-SAP systems. Okay. Some of the modernization strategies for if you're using SAP, you can take 3 different approaches to handle to bring more value, to run some analytics, to bring insights on the data. One is analytics sidecar, which is more like a siloed approach, solid projects where you can just tackle one use case, get data from SAP, integrate with other systems, and then based on the success of the project, you can actually even think about doing more like an enterprise analytics kind of project, which is the second layer that you see over there. This is where you want to be able to make SAP as your main source system. You're bringing in all the data from your different ERP systems inside SAP. You're bringing in data from all your other data systems, all your other external systems, and you're building more like a proper medallion architecture within Databricks, and you're able to have a BI application sitting on the top, and you're also having like a proper your data science team running machine learning models on the top. So you could also do something like that. So obviously one of the pros of that is you're enabling that data, you're giving the access of that data, the gold layer data to all of your end users in your company, and you're also giving the access to your machine learning engineers to run their models for the advanced analytics. Okay, that is the second way. If you want to take this to the next level, you can also consider your Databricks as your SAP BW HANA replacement in general. Simply because SAP BW right now with the S4, the new architecture of SAP BW sits on the top of S4, and S4. If you're a legacy BW, going to S4 BW by itself is a huge implementation. Based on our experience, it takes years and years of project implementation to move all that data over to the S4 HANA system for your BW. So. And again, if your data is sitting in SAP BW only, you're still tied to that SAP ecosystem. You're not able to do the advanced. You're not able to do some of the advanced use cases on the top of SAP data. So that's something you can consider also. If you do have to bring in extra non-SAP data into your data warehouse. And you don't want to tie yourself with the limitations of SAP BW. You could consider something like a lakehouse architecture, where you're able to not just do data warehousing kind of use cases, but also advanced analytics on the top of it, and also your BI use case also. Okay, anything you want to add here, Kishi?
Nope, you have it covered.
Okay. We work with rich ecosystem partners for our SAP data integration. We'll go into a little bit of detail after in the extraction methods, but work with ISVs. We work with cloud native services like AWS, Google Cloud Data Fusion, Azure Data Factory. We work with SAP Data Services. And also SAP native tools like SLT, and also we have system integrators who have extensive experience with major SAP projects, right? Like I said, if you wanna move to Databricks. Use the Lakehouse methodology to move some of your BW models and all that. They have accelerators inbuilt. You don't have to start from scratch. You can leverage the accelerators to kind of at least lower the time of the migration, right? So. Okay, let's talk about the extraction considerations itself. Extraction itself, there you do have to kind of consider some. These are some of the considerations. Extraction consideration you need to keep in mind. So basically you have to look at, okay, are you going to be able to go to the database table, which is your underlying database where ERP or your BW system is sitting on the top of. Do you have if the database, if you can go to the database level, and the database is HANA, does the runtime license, there's a license you have, will it permit to do the database level access, right? So those kind of things. We'd also talk about, we also need to consider if you want to do batch or real time. And when you're talking about batch or real time, you need to also think about CDC, right? Change data capture. You want to be, SAP tables are pretty huge. You don't want to be doing, full loads all the time. You want to be able to get, just read changes every time you run the extraction. So you need to think about that. You know, to think about some throughput also, but really not impacting your ERP system directly. You want to be able to have low impact on the ERP system when you're ingesting data from these SAP systems. You also want to think about if there is if you want to do transformation on the fly also. And also, again, like I mentioned, you need to think about the load on the ECC S4 system also. Okay. From the BW standpoint, it's kind of similar. Modeling, right? Modeling is big part of the ERP business logic. So you want to be able to at least think about, consider actually what do you want to do with the modeling, right? The ERP business logic is pretty customized. What I mean by that is a lot of customers do a lot of customization to the existing business models that come with SAP out of the box. So some customers might not want to completely redo all that logic again. They might want to just reuse the logic and just extract it directly from like views and stuff like that within SAP. Okay. File structure, you want to be able to consider the file structure in the target data lake. And also the CDC data format for update and delete handling. Chi, anything you want to add here?
No, this is just more of the implementation details, that as we get to actual implementation, that there's some performance considerations, that's including standard delta optimizations to improve the performance of the merge of large tables as you CDC with a CDC applying to the bronze layer.
Yep. So let's talk about extraction. This picture is from the AWS blog post. I mean, it gives you kind of high-level architecture, how SAP on the left side, if you see the picture on the left, the left box, you have the SAP system. You have the database on the bottom, the Oracle, SQL, HANA on the database, which with the SAP system is sitting on the top of. And you have the ABAP stack, which is the application layered stack on the top of that, the ERP application of the BW application, right? So you have the ABAP tables, the views, you have the queries. You also have like store procedure kind of style BAPIs on the top of on the ABAP layer. You have also IDOCs, which is more like the messaging system on the top on the ABAP layer. We also have data extractors and the CDS views, and SAP also provides a tooling called SLT, which is the replication platform on the top of SAP. You have the ODP provisioning architecture, and the OData is basically it's a centralized way that you can output, uniform way that you can generate some extracts from all these different systems on the SAP platform. Okay. So we'll talk about this, how we can do extraction from database layer and also from this ABAP layer. Okay. So from the relational database extraction standpoint, I'm talking about the bottom part. Okay. So this is traditionally, and most of the customers use this quite a bit, and in my experience also, a lot of my customers use this method to get the data out of SAP. Okay. So this is really for non-SAP SAP databases such as Oracle SQL Server under ERP. We'll talk about HANA in the next slide, but this is basically non-HANA. Okay. You can use our native JDBC. This is just standard ETL, right? We have ETL tools to just do JDBC, to use native drivers or JDBC, ODBC drivers to extract data from these tables, right? So for example, if there's an ABAP table inside inside SAP, you could probably have a similar table in the database itself, okay? And you can directly use these drivers to and use ETL tools to extract the data, to read the data from these tables, okay? These are basically just database tables, right? Oracle, SQL Server, or DB2 tables. Log-based replication is we have these tools here. HVR Click Replicate is formerly, I think, Attunity. Archeon is something we've heard quite a bit too. So log-based replication is you're not directly talking to the tables, right? You're actually reading the logs and trying to understand the changes from the logs and trying to load from there, right? So this is preferable. This is not a direct load on the tables itself, on the database itself. You're basically going to the backend of the database and getting the data from there. Okay, so log-based, the advantage of log-based replications also is that you can read changes, right? For the ETL, if the first option here, you have to define your CDC on your own. You have to kind of come up with your own CDC mechanism. But with log-based replication, you will get more options to kind of see which table is which row is a delete or an update or insert. There's an option that the log-based systems can provide you to make your CDC easier. Okay. Trigger-based replication. So SLT is SAP toolset, which is a replication toolset. SLT, you can use a combination of SLT and ETL tools such as SAP Data Intelligence or Azure Data Factory or Azure Cloud Fusion to do a trigger-based replication from these databases. Okay, SLT by itself will not work, so you need to use a combination of SLT and ETL tool to get the data out for the trigger-based replication. Okay, Chi, do you want to add anything for this slide?
No, you have covered.
Okay. Okay, moving on. So we talked about the database, this database extraction way, which is non-HANA. Okay, let's talk about HANA. If your database is HANA, your SAP application is sitting on the top of HANA. So let's talk about that. Okay, so which is probably more like a modern. If you started using SAP in the past few years, I think you probably will be on HANA. So HANA database under ECC or S4HANA. So again, you can do self-managed ETL and CDC, just like what mentioned with the relational databases. You need to kind of come up with your own CDC methodology. There are a bunch of ETL tools that you can actually use to kind of read data from HANA tables directly. But the only thing is you will need the HANA Enterprise Edition. If you have a runtime, if you only have a HANA runtime edition license, you won't be able to use this option. Okay, you need HANA Enterprise Edition, which is typically more cost on the top of the runtime license. Okay. Again, you can use Python HANA clients, JDBC, ODBC to get the data out, and you can use Databricks notebooks to kind of get the data out from these HANA tables. There is an option for HANA 2, SP6 HANA. You can export it to export a CSV file to the cloud storage like S3 or Azure Blob Storage. Okay, so there is an option that there's an option you can use it. That once the CSV file is in the cloud storage, you can use Databricks Autoloader to kind of ingest those CSV files automatically into your Delta tables. The autoloader takes care of the merging and takes care of keeping track of all the tables already, all the files already loaded and all that. Okay, so it's a pretty we've seen some customers use it also. So this is one option. Coming to trigger-based replication, this is similar to what we discussed in the non-SAP, non-HANA database option. SLT, you can use SLT and a ETL tool to do a trigger-based application from HANA tables directly. So this option actually does not need a enterprise license. And this option here, if you want to use a tool called Click Replicate, which is probably one of the tools that we hear quite a bit. I would say after they Click acquired Attunity was a CDC platform, exchange data capture platform. So it automatically does CDC. So if you do want to, if you want to use Click Replicate, you do need a HANA Enterprise Edition, by the way. Okay. And log-based replication, we already talked about some of the advantages of log-based replication, similar to the relational databases extraction. You can use HVR and Click Replicate to do log-based replication. Again, CDC will come automatic with using this option. Okay. Proprietary, I think Archeon has some kind of native store procedure that it can use to do some replication also. Okay. And again, it requires an enterprise edition. If you want to use standard ETL using Azure Data Factory or Matillion, for that also you will need an enterprise edition. Typically, you see, I think in general you will need for this option for you to go to the HANA tables directly. You will need an enterprise edition license for all these options except for if you're using SLT, a combination of SLT and an ETL tool. Okay. So, so any questions here? Chi, anything you want to add?
Yeah, and then you pointed out, right, that's one of the key reasons why many customers use SLTs, because it's considered an ABAP stack extraction, even though it's working in the database layer, but it's a ABAP add-on, so that doesn't violate your HANA runtime license.
Yeah. Okay. This is if you only have the runtime license, these are the options. These are options to get the data out of SAP using the ABAP layer. Okay. One is the SAP Data Services, tools like Matillion, and I work personally in Informatica too. These are some of the tools that you can use. You can go directly to the ABAP tables. There are options in SAP Data Services and also Informatica where you can actually where you can write sort of like the joins and things like that inside the platform itself, and the tool itself pushes that join logic and the filter logic to SAP and reads the data from SAP. Okay, so these are basically all ABAP table queries. These are individual tables, by the way. So if you have like a header table and a detail table and a line table, you will need to kind of do all those joins yourself, basically, because everything is at the table level. Okay, and most of the time you will have to join with other ABAP tables to define that, to come up with that. The master data or that operational record that you're trying to generate from these tables. Okay. You can use the BW extractors. BW extractors have been there for a long time. You can also use the CDS views you can use CDS views and the BW extractors within the SAP Data Services and SAP Data Intelligence, and also Azure Data Factory and Click Replicate and Matillion. These are some of the tools that you can use to get the data out from CDS views. So one of the advantages of using CDS views here is really that you're getting the logic that you are the business logic is already part of the CDS view. All you're doing basically is just trying to read that view and get the data out from that CDS view. Okay, so the business logic is already, like, someone in the ABAP layer has already built it for you. All you're doing is bring the data over to your target database, as opposed to the first option, which I mentioned. You need to come up with that logic, the business logic. You have to come up with the logic on your own. So certainly, something you want to consider if you want to build if you don't want to build that logic again. You can and a view already exists in CDS views. You can just get the data from CDS view directly. Okay. ODP to OData. This is there's a lot of tools that you can leverage the ODP framework, and you can get the data from OData directly. Okay. So I don't know, Chi, you want to comment on this? I'm not fully familiar with OData here, but you want to comment?
So I mean, OData is a very common web service API, along with more kind of basic REST, standard REST. So a lot more tools speak OData and a few tools fully support ODP. So if you have more of an issue where, let's say you're using a tool like MuleSoft that definitely speaks OData but doesn't understand ODP, right? So this is a potential option, but you need to look at your ERP table or extractor or CDS view in the data volume to kind of make a decision that is that going to be sufficiently performant to go through OData, because that's not going to be as efficient as a direct RFC API call to ODP. So those are some of the considerations.
Great. Chi, are there any questions out there?
No, I don't see any.
Okay, sounds good. BW extraction. Let's talk about, so far we have talked about the ERP extraction. Let's talk about the BW extraction. There is a tool set called OpenHub inside BW, and you can use OpenHub extraction. It does require the OpenHub license. Okay. And Chi, does this actually store to like a files OpenHub, or how does it?
OpenHub generates files, so you still need a tool like ETL tool or something to pick up the files.
Okay, there you go.
This also handles CDC since within BW. Okay,
great. Yeah, there you go. So you use ETL tools to load the file generated directly. ODP, we talked about ODP. Azure Data Factory, it does come up quite a bit. Azure recently came up with a new connector, CDC connector, also for not just for BW, but also from ERP. If you are on Azure, if you're on Azure and if you're familiar with ADF, certainly worth looking at it. Azure is certainly adding more and more functionality around it. So that's one very good option, I would say, if you're on Azure. Again, just similar to ERP, if you're on HANA database layer, it does require enterprise license, and you can do self-managed ETL or CDC from the HANA calculation views. And you can use traditional ETL tools from HANA calculation views also. Okay.
Yeah, just a quick comment on that is that we do have some customers in the SAP world who are using so in the BW world, there's a BW as a data warehousing paradigm, and there's something called SQL warehouse paradigm where you're using native HANA calculation views to do all of your data modeling rather than using BW out of the box. So SAP's recommendation is actually called hybrid data warehousing, where you buy BW or BW4 and you have enterprise HANA license under it. And so your BW developers develop in BW and expose their objects as calculation views, which is just a few clicks in the BW application. And then your non-BW developers, your HANA developers, are going to also do additional development of business logic in HANA in terms of layers and layers of calculation views. So we do have customers where they have a need to do extraction from BW, but not from the BW application layer through things like OpenHub, but they have additional business logic that's in the native HANA layer. So this becomes more of a native HANA extraction scenario. And so this is what are the options to extract from HANA calculation views. But the issue with HANA calculation views, unlike HANA tables, the HANA tables we already talked about in the context of ERP, which also carries over to native HANA, is that there are tools to do trigger-based replication, log-based replication, and so on. But calculation views, because they're virtual, they're really logically, they're not too different from in other databases, a SQL non-materialized view. There is no CDC mechanism, right? So this is where you have to look at your definition of your calculation view, business logic, and so on. Is there a timestamp or something kind of column that you can use for CDC? If not, then you're kind of left with just doing a full snapshot extraction. Okay, back to you, Nitin.
Yep, thanks, Chi. Okay, system integrators, we work with a lot of consulting companies all the global SIs. We have good partnership with them. And also we work with regional SIs like Celbel Tech and Credence who actually have built out accelerators for ERP BW, HANA extraction, and also for HANA BW migration also. Okay, they have accelerators like I mentioned for end-to-end SAP BW to Databricks implementation projects. They can they have actually even have accelerators for BW replacement also. So so yes, if you are in a position where you're just deciding on if you want to go to BW S4, or if you want to go to more like a modern data architecture, like a lakehouse architecture, we can certainly help you make a decision in terms of we can certainly bring in these accelerators, which will certainly get your you don't have to really do all these extractions implementation by table or module by module, right? Using these extractors, you can actually do the migration in a bulk way, in a bulk manner, which also means that your project itself is project cost and also project timelines itself will be cut by at least by 50% or so, okay, if not more. SAP, so SAP has come. They just announced a new partnership with Databricks, mainly around their DataSphere product. So what the partnership is actually includes is a bidirectional integration between the Lakehouse and SAP DataSphere. And Databricks is one of the 4 launch partners for SAP. So we have that. We have a great partnership with SAP. We also want to be. We also enable customers to easily bring their SAP data to the Lakehouse and combine with the other data sets. But the integration, the timelines itself, or to be determined actually. But again, that shouldn't. If like I said, I mean, we have all these options to already, using our partners. You can bring in. You don't have to wait for these integration platforms to be established, to be developed. You can actually start using. You can start bringing in the SAP data right now using our partner ecosystem. Okay. So the SAP DataSphere, this is how the SAP DataSphere, the architecture will look like. DataSphere will pull in all the data from these SAP applications into the SAP DataSphere ecosystem, and from there you can actually they'll build tools where you can extract data. You can push the data out to the Lakehouse. Okay. Anything we want to add here, Chi?
No, just maybe just one bit is that what those as Nitin mentioned, right? We don't have the timeline for the bidirectional data integration. That was mentioned in the announcement of the product and the partnership. But what the initial indications that the initial technical integration is going to be based on federation and data virtualization. But you don't even have to wait for that, since there are already ways to do that using existing ways from data warehouse, DataSphere side to Databricks using smart data integrations, data virtualization, and then on the reverse direction using either a Spark JDBC source or the HANA Python libraries, which were also mentioned in the earlier slides. Right, so those are all capabilities already possible. It's just that the integrations and the partnership integration that's being developed will make that more easier to use. So at least initially, it looks like there is not going to be some sort of extraction or CDC mechanism for data movement, but starting with federation approach.
Okay, thanks. That we come to the end of this session. Any last comments, Chi, or any questions you have over there?
I'm just open to questions, and then so for those of you who are watching this offline, so we'll encourage you to reach out to your account team and engage with them to talk about any challenges that you have with your SAP data analytics use cases, any challenges you have with the SAP data and analytics stack. Whether if you're thinking about modernizing that, we can definitely myself and others on the or in the SAP SME team here, we're happy to engage with you to do an advisory session to just to work through the pros and cons of the various extraction approaches. Hey, should you extract from ECC, from S4, from BW, BW4? Should you be should Databricks be does Databricks coexist with SAP Data Analytics, or does Databricks replace? And what are the implications of the DataSphere product announcement and the partnership, right? So we're happy to have a deeper dive with you on that.
Great. Thanks, Chi. Thanks for partnering with me on this session. And we will send we'll send the deck out, I think, after for this session and also probably the recording too. So, but we're all available. Like Chi said, please send an email to your account team if you have any questions. Okay. Thank you.